All right, and we made it. Thank you so much, Seth and Ben, for joining. This is Decode's episode 3, and today we're going to be talking about Segment and Courier and the entire integration that we have set up. My name is Shreya, and I am your host for Decode, and today we are joined by two really awesome guests. Hi, Ben and Seth. How are y'all doing?
Hey, how's it
It's
going?
great to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Also, thank you, Suhas, for being the first person to comment before the live stream even went live. And Tejas and Nia are also joining in the chat. Tejas said, excited for this episode. We are all really excited because we have some sneak peeks that, you're not ready for. And Nia says this music is getting her amped up. And honestly, yes, that's exactly why I have that 2-minute counter that Micah made, just so we can get pumped up for this episode. Now, Ben, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what are you doing here?
Sure. So my name's Ben Link, and I'm a developer evangelist at Twilio Segment. So not necessarily part of the whole Twilio family, but in the Segment subsection. I'm focused on customer data and making our platform connect all the different things, of one of which is Courier.
Awesome. And Seth, this is your first time on a live stream. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do at Courier?
Yeah, sure. I'm CTO here at Courier. Been here for, more than 3 years now. So not quite since the beginning, but almost. Excited to be here to talk about Courier's updated segment integration, rolling out the new capabilities that we have been and all the power that comes with it.
Yeah, that power is a really good word to use. It really empowers developers to do things in a matter of minutes that would probably take them a really long time to do. Since we're going to be showing off our new Courier integration with Segment, could you tell us a little bit about what that integration is and why we built it?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Firstly, we've had part of a segment integration for some time now. We've been a destination where all kinds of events that are already flowing through your segment instance can make their way to Courier and allow you to trigger notifications or other workflows or automations that you want to execute as a result of those interactions. Also, things like automatically storing profile data with the identify calls and things like that. But wanted to complete the story and really bring everything full circle by treating Courier as a source for segment events as well, which brings an additional layer of power to that integration, allowing you to really easily integrate that information into your data warehouse or other downstream systems that Segment allows you to connect to.
That's really awesome. I'm really excited to sort of just jump into this project. Ben shared an e-commerce website that Segment has built out for us. And so today in our live stream, we're actually going to be cloning that website and then setting up both of the integrations that we've built out. Do you guys want to, how are you feeling about getting started? Should we just dive into the code?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So we're going to send the link for this repository. It is public in our chat right now. Let us know if you have any issues with accessing it or forking it. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this and open up a new terminal and just go ahead and clone it. While we're getting this project set up, Ben, could you tell us a little bit about ways in which you've seen Segment used? Like what happens once events are within Segment? What are the cool things that your customers are doing with it?
Sure. So the idea behind Segment is that it's a customer data platform. We've recognized that across the industry, there's lots of different data sources that you're trying to pull together. You've got a website, you've probably got mobile app, and if you've got one, you've probably got two there. And then you've got other engagement sources that you might be pulling information from. You might even be using, some of the other Twilio products as ways to engage with your customers. And so all of those things then have to be coded to talk to a data set of some sort. And Segment acts as sort of a bus in between the sources and the destinations, because we recognize that there's going to be a lot of different moving parts out there. And if you have 4 or 5 different data sources where you're engaging with customers and you want to use 3 or 4 different tools in your stack for different purposes. Think of like your Google Analytics to see how people are visiting the website, or maybe your launch darkly in terms of like controlling A/B tests or things like that. Mix panel and amplitude for analytics and number crunching things. And then, of course, a data warehouse to push it further downstream for all of the data science folks to do the big heavy querying against. So Segment acts as the way to connect all of those tools together in an easy, simple way to manage. We try to remove as much of the code from the equation as possible through this, so that when you're integrating, it's not a big, heavy burden on your engineering team.
Awesome. I also want to give a shout out to Arnav, who's one of our hackathon participants and winners as well, who says hello to both of you in our chat. Just reiterating, all we've done so far is we've gone into the GitHub repo that Charlotte's shared in the chat and cloned it. And now we can go ahead and sort of check out Segment. So this is once you've already logged into Segment. I already have a source set up, but if you don't, that's fine. You just want to go to connections and sources. And we're gonna, build out a source from scratch. So Ben, would you mind walking me through the process of adding a source?
Sure thing. So over on the left there, you've clicked sources to get to this page. And then on the far right is where the add source button is. So we're going to go in there and look through the catalog. And there are hundreds of sources that are already pre-built and packaged and ready to go. And if you don't see a source that matches up with exactly what you need, you can actually custom design your own. We're not going to get into that today. That would take us a little over time and a little off topic. But if you dig down through here, you should be able to find we're starting by setting up our website, right? So we're going to go to just a JavaScript website. The example that's been linked out in the chat there, it's just a little node app that you can run, and it starts up on port 3000. So you add the JavaScript source.
Does it matter if we use JavaScript versus Node.js?
It's about where you've implemented your segment code. So if you're writing the segment integration from client-side events, you're going to want to use the JavaScript website. If you're using something that's purely like a Node server situation, then you'll want to use the Node.js server integration.
Got it. So we'll go with JavaScript. And Suhas asked a really great question for Ben. What's Segment's recommendation on best practices around sources potentially sending bad data?
Potentially sending bad data. I'd like to maybe dig into that and find out a little bit more about what you mean by that, Suhas. In the way that we're using this, we're gathering data from sources that we control. So it's my website, it's my mobile app, it's things that are completely under my control as the development team to be able to say, okay, I'm the one who's deciding when to send data. So if that doesn't really answer your question, feel free to toss another thing in there and let's kind of clarify it and we can work through it.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ben. And thanks for asking, Suhas, as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Source. What should we call this?
You can call it whatever you like. It's a simple text field there. So e-commerce example, or
you're going to see how bad I am at spelling things today. All right, I'll call it e-commerce website. And we can do we need to add labels and website URLs right now?
If you were doing this in like an actual production environment, you'd want the website URL attached there. I don't think it's necessary to keep us rolling though.
Got it. Awesome.
For the purposes of our small example, at least.
Great. And so we're actually going to be adding two sources today. First, we're going to add our website, and later we're going to be adding Courier as a source as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. What's the next step? What do we do now?
So what you're actually seeing here is that the website is ready to go. You would have to make a very small code change. And the smallest version of this is to copy that snippet that you see right there in the center of the screen into the head tag of your JavaScript website and then rebuild it. So you could do that, and that's enough to get you started with Segment. Now, that's not going to have all the bells and whistles that we offer, because we're not just providing a data bus here. Segment does a whole lot more than that insofar as we we build out a customer profile and we maintain it. So there's lots of other calls you can make from your website into Segment to capture more pertinent data and to build that knowledge of your customer base. But if you're just trying the product out for the first time, then the copy paste here gets you all the way to the point where data is flowing.
Awesome. So where should I be placing this code snippet?
So in a normal, like in a non-demo prepped environment, you would put this into the head tag of your HTML page. So usually like in index.html, you'll have, the classic HTML headers there. And so when you put the head tag in place, you can drop that in there just as a snippet that's included as part of that, so that it'll pull in our library and do that stuff. Now, the example that we're working with today actually has all this predefined already and has a bunch of events already set up. So you don't need to go that route with it. What you want to do in this case is go to the config.json file, and you'll see that there are API keys attached there.
Awesome. So I'm losing my voice 1 second.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. So what we want to do is go back to our segment workspace, and under the settings tab.
Under the settings tab, yes.
You can go to API keys there on the left, and you can grab that right key. Okay. And if you paste that in where it says to put it in the config file, and then rebuild your app there, you'll be able to run this, and it should start talking to your Segment instance immediately.
Okay, so one thing that I noticed while I was, practicing this before the live stream was that I did have to hit npm install first. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to build the actual website. This is going to take a minute. So could you walk us through what we're going to be working, like at this stage, we have a website, all right? That's just like a local website that is set up with Segment, which means that anything that happens within this website, anytime someone clicks on a page, anytime someone adds an item to their cart, Segment's going to be getting access to those events. It's going to be tracking those events. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. So the basic form, like if you were to go back to that overview page and look at the code snippet that was provided in the Segment workspace, that only has the analytics.page call in it, which is just enough to give you page view events. What we've implemented in this, demo environment actually has other events created along the way. We offer, I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but there is a track event and an identify event that are going to be really important to your Segment usage. The identify event, you drop into the login routine so that as soon as you've identified a customer as this person with this ID, you can now start that identify, gives the Segment workspace the ability to start stitching that profile together. And so every event that comes from that user's sessions, regardless of where they've gone, as soon as they log in and we know it's them again, then we can pull all that data together to build a unified look at their profile and what they've done to interact with our business. The track dot, I did that backward, track dot, the dot track call is something that you can drop into your code wherever you find interesting. Anything that a customer can do within your website that you would want to be able to track and pay attention to. As soon as you know where that is in the code, you drop a track call into that, and it gives you the ability then to tag that with a certain name, and then you can follow that event anytime it occurs. So if you care a lot about a certain button, one of the common examples in a retail scenario is view the shopping cart. Anytime somebody goes to the view shopping cart, or anytime somebody goes to checkout, or anytime somebody hits the submit on the checkout page where they're actually completing their order. Those are events that you would want to know about that aren't necessarily tied to page calls. And so you would miss them if you just had the page stuff implemented. But using the dot track gives you the ability then to click all these things together and go, look, I can see that Ben came to my website and he added shopping, he shopped and added things to his cart. And then when he hit view cart, he went to checkout, but he didn't complete his order. And maybe that's really important to your marketing team because they want to know when that happens. When are we not making a sale? And this is what gives you the data to be able to make decisions off of that and to send out a notification, which is kind of what we're going to look at with Courier in a bit here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that. While we were talking, I did run the npm run build command. So if you're following along, make sure to do that as well. And then once you do that, we can just hit npm start, and we should get our little localhost website up and running. Let me see. Okay, it's showing up on the wrong tab. Let me pull it up over here. Sweet.
There you go.
That's great.
Yep, we've got our website running and ready to go. So because we've implemented the right key already, you did that before you actually hit build. So that's really awesome.
Yes.
That means it should be working right out of the gate. If you were to go into your segment, or before you go into your segment workspace, we need to make a couple of those page calls occur. So if you want to just click on some things, like let's just go shopping. We can go find something.
Shopping.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I'm
That's
gonna
the best part,
go. I'm
right?
gonna look through these very pretty shoes. Can I add stuff to cart? I'm gonna add stuff to cart.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And then you can click on it. I'm gonna add it to cart from here. You can click on the actual cart itself as well. Sweet.
And so now if you go over to your segment workspace, you should be able to see events on the debugger tab.
Okay, so we're going to go into the debugger tab. And okay, previously this would have been empty. I should have clicked on that earlier to show you that. But if you're looking at your own workspace, then this would have been empty. And now this is everything that I have done as a user on this local website. So you can see that I sort of went through all of these different pages. I added some products. I clicked on a product. And at the very end, I also viewed the cart. Awesome.
Yep. And one of the things to note here is you can see the analytics.track call over there. You can also see the tag on the left that says track to let you know what type of event was captured. But the really interesting part of seeing the data on the right there is you can actually see that you can pass along whatever event data is important to you. So in the case of viewing the shopping cart, what's the next possible question that someone could ask? Well, what was in the shopping cart when they hit view cart? That data can be passed right along for the ride. Your developer writes the tracking call in a way that captures whatever relevant session data is available and just plugs it right in here so that it comes along for the ride and you get to see all this in one place.
Also makes it really useful for enriching your notification data when you're sending out messages about them.
Exactly. Not only can you make the decisions off of what's actually in there. For instance, you picked a couple of Fila products. Let's see what's different between the two. So it's an outdoor slide. Maybe we have a deal on slides this week, and it's only the slide type of shoe that we're concerned with. If you didn't have a slide in your cart, I might not want to notify you. That would be something I would pay attention to. Further, there might be, certain types of slides that are, more deeply discounted than others or something, and I might want to notify you differently. So that's other data that I could pass along where a destination like Courier would pick it up.
Awesome. We do have a question from Craig asking, can you track video?
Yes, you could totally use Segment to track video. So the idea of being able to watch a video, like if you think of your YouTube experience, you go to a page and you're watching a video play and you want to know when certain events happen. So the play and the pause and the stop and the how far did the person get before they finished, you would be able to track by putting, some sort of milestone. Did they at least make it to 30 seconds? Did they at least make it to 2 minutes? Whatever relevant information there. We actually have in our documentation a whole series of specs for the different types of uses that we've seen commonly. So video playback is one that's of concern for a lot of folks. And then, of course, like the retail space is probably the one we talk about the most because it's by and large the most common thing you'll see. But yeah, the interesting part of this is not only can you use those, predetermined specs to figure out what's important in those spaces, but if you imagine a new use case, you can build the whole thing on your own as well to match whatever specific thing it is you're doing that's different from anything we've seen before.
Awesome. Craig is also Davril from Twilio, so thank you so much for joining, Craig. I'm glad that you're able to participate in this live stream. All right, Seth, I'm going to ask you to take over now and sort of tell us a little bit about what we can do with this information with Courier's integration and also just like walk me through that entire process.
Yeah, sure. Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be two parts to the integration. Um, and I think, in terms of sending notifications, I mentioned earlier, right? Especially if you've got Segment up and running, or you're already tracking events, or have this kind of implementation in your ecosystem. It's honestly one of the easiest ways to get up and running with Courier. Um, it's a matter of setting up Courier as a destination, which we'll walk through, um, wiring that event up to an automation, and telling what the automation should do, and kind of sit back and watch it do its thing. So we'll walk through all those bits, and the first thing is setting Courier up as a destination, right? So we've
Got
got
it.
this source that we've created. That's our e-commerce site. Well, all this data that's coming in, we need to send it somewhere, right? And so let's go in and add Courier as a destination for that source.
All right, so I have Courier added in, but we're just going to go ahead and
Yeah.
repeat this process for the sake of the live stream. Um, so I'll just type it in here so it's easier to find. And what do we do once we've clicked on this page?
So we'll need to configure Courier, right? We give you some information about where you can get your API key and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, but let's go ahead and pick our new e-commerce website.
Awesome.
And you have two options here. One, you can fill in information manually, or the alternate is you can copy from another installation that you've already got running, depending if you've already configured it or not. In this case, Shrey, I'm not sure if you is that already connected to the workspace we're using. If so, we can copy the settings. Otherwise,
No idea, Seth.
let's
I'm
create a new
just
one.
gonna do
Let's
it
just call it
manually.
Courier,
Yeah.
and we'll fill
Awesome.
those in. And we'll need to put an API key in here. So the way that you'll get this is you'll go over to your Courier instance, and you'll go to Settings.
All right, I'm gonna open Courier from scratch. I'll close my
Fantastic.
old tabs. And you said go over to settings.
Settings and API keys. And where you want to grab that one you've got right there, your production published key.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and paste that in here and click save.
Okay. And great. Now, good news is Courier's wired up to receive events from Segment. So let's go back over to the Courier. Actually, if we could really quickly, let's go back to our e-commerce site and let's generate a few more events.
Okay, sounds good. So just like
We can
click on a bunch of
click
stuff.
around. If you want, you can pick another shoe to buy. And let's view our cart.
Let's view our cart.
And let's go over to Courier.
Let's go
And
over to Courier.
if everything was set up right, we're going to go into channels and find our channel segment integration.
Awesome. Go ahead and find segment.
And what we should see here, if you scroll down, is hopefully some of the events that we just generated.
Oh, okay. This is actually a different, this is from yesterday because this is wired up to a different write key. So should we update this write key with the new website that we just set up?
So let's go ahead and just clear that write key out for now, because that's going to be Courier sending source data in.
Mhm.
And let's just pay attention to this destination events for the
Okay.
moment. And you'll see here that we have been getting these different destination events in, and they should look really similar to um, the events that we were generating over in our segment debugger. And so, why don't we go ahead and set up a use case here?
Okay.
A lot of times you see an experience where you'll go view a cart, you'll add a bunch of items to it, you'll get that about to be buyer's remorse, and you don't check out. You just leave, you go away. And a lot of times you get a reminder, right? Hey, you left your cart, come back, check out. Maybe you want to even ply them with a coupon code or some kind of incentive, right? Wouldn't that be great if we could wire that up really easily based on all the events that we're already pumping into Courier is a destination here. So let's go do that.
Okay.
So what that's going to take for us to do is wire up really 2 events. One, when they view the checkout screen, right? So they start the checkout process. And then if they actually check out, we want to discontinue any kind of engagement process we've been running with them. So that's going to require us to go wire a few things up. So let's go create some automations. And
Okay.
I think
Well,
very,
I do want to ask really quickly, Seth, before we do that, I'm noticing that the time received for these ones are actually the ones that I did yesterday. So maybe there's something that we're missing over here. Do I need to enable
it's not
this
enabled.
before?
Great
Okay,
catch,
great.
Shreya.
Awesome.
Yep. So let's go generate a few more events and make sure. No, that was a great catch.
All
Uh,
right.
some live debugging there. Good news.
So we
That
don't
means
need to
another pair of
reload or
shoes.
anything. We can just
Yeah.
add stuff, click on stuff, and let's go back here and reload
Yes.
this page.
And that list will auto refresh, by the way.
Okay.
So you don't have to refresh it itself, but you can see here we did get the events in. But let's go back to kind of the example we were building out, right? Which is just a cart reminder.
Yeah.
It's going to take 2 automations, and I think exciting news, right? We're going to see a sneak peek of our new automations designer, which has gone into closed beta this week. But super excited to show this off. So let's go start creating some automations.
This is the moment. I don't think anyone understands how excited I am. This is the first time we're showing Automations 2.0 live. It's not even actually out available for the public yet. We're just doing a sneak peek. So this is it. This is the big reveal. Oh my God.
Big reveal. So really, this is basically our new workflow designer, and this allows you to build orchestrations around notifications. And so what we're going to do here, right, is first we need a trigger, right? And in this case, we want a trigger based off a segment event that's happening. And so let's expand our trigger section and add a new trigger.
All right.
I think there's a handy dandy segment trigger that we can drop right onto the UI there. So let's go ahead and do that. And then you'll see some of the events that Ben talked about earlier. In this case, we care mostly about identifying track events. In this case, we care about a track event. Help me with the text here. I think this is going to be the event that we sent in for the checkout step viewed.
Yes, let
You get it, I
me
think, from our debugger.
go in. Oh, we can get it from our source over
Yep.
here. We'll go over to our website. Craig mentioned that pair programming is great, specifically because you can have multiple people looking at the same stuff. And Dennis said that he's really excited for the big reveal as well.
So there was your track event actually. I think it was the checkout event.
All right, let me zoom out a little bit because this is cutting things off. Which
Scroll
one
down
did you
just a
say?
little. You want I think it was the one we're looking for is a checkout event. So we could even generate one just to see what it looks like, right?
Yeah, I don't think I clicked checkout recently. That's why it's
Yeah,
not showing up.
perfect. So
Awesome.
checkout step viewed. Fantastic. So let's grab that event name. So excitingly, we'll have autocomplete rolling out this week for this, so you won't actually have to type this in.
Nice.
But now we've got a segment event that's going to trigger this automation. And like we probably don't want to immediately send this automation when a message when someone views this as soon as we see it. We probably want to wait some sensible amount of time. I don't know, probably something like an hour usually, but let's go ahead and drag a delay action on.
All right, we'll click on actions and there's a delay. Perfect. I like how
And
it just like, I don't know if you guys saw that, but it like became pink. Oop, I did something wrong, Seth.
let's just refresh. We're in beta. Oh, there we go.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Betas.
But it
That's
became
why
bright
we're
pink and
still
that
in
was really
beta,
awesome.
right?
Okay.
Nothing like testing it live. And so normally we'd set this to something reasonable, like an hour. I think for our testing purposes, like let's just set it to something short, like a minute.
Oh, okay, I'll do a minute. Awesome.
And after that, we're going to want to send them a message.
Send them a message, and then there's a send option.
Yep.
Object option. What is it called? What do I call it?
These are called steps.
Steps. Okay, send step.
And so the user ID from this one's actually going to come off the segment event.
Uh-huh.
And so we're going to use a reference for this. And so what you're going to type in the user ID is going to be in the ID field is a reference to the user ID field that's coming off of the segment event. And so this will be refs.data.user_ID. And we can
Okay.
confirm that by going and looking at the debugger. But that's the property name that's coming in. And then we'll want to pick the template that we want to send to.
Okay.
And
Just
so
a question for someone that doesn't understand this stuff very well. How does Courier know that user ID is coming from segment? Is it because of the trigger over here?
Ben earlier talked about how on the events there's all this meaningful data that gets passed along.
Mhm.
So for identify events, you get traits about the person. For track events, you get information that's about like the behavior that they did, right? So in this case, it's information about the cart that they viewed, right? And so what Courier does is take that data that Segment passes on, and we wrap in a little envelope, and we give it to the automation so that you can reference those parts along the way. It might be to make a decision in terms of whether or not you want to send it. That might be because you want to reference it in terms of building the message up.
Got it.
Like in the example Ben talked about earlier, where there was a list of products, if we were really going to the nth degree and building a production version of this, the template would take that list of products and it would tell you all the things that you were looking at, right? And give you some kind of information about it. So,
Got it.
so what we're doing here is saying, hey, the person we're going to be sending to is dynamic. It's a different person every time. And since it's a different person every time, we want to reference the data that's coming in from the segment event.
Sounds good. I guess I'm gonna maybe rephrase my question and ask if the trigger wasn't there, like if the segment trigger wasn't there, would this still evaluate to a user ID? Like, is that the key component that ties this whole thing together?
So automations can actually be invoked what I would call ad hoc. So what I
Mhm.
mean is not necessarily in reaction to just a segment event, right? So you
Got it.
can have a scheduled trigger, right, that runs on some interval. You can have an API-based trigger where you're calling Courier and say, hey, go run this automation. And of course, you can have the event incoming from segment.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying
Mhm.
that. Yeah, so what's the next step?
Yeah, so the last step is we need to wire a template up.
Okay.
And
Wire a
so
template up, so I
sorry,
should make a
if you actually
notification.
apologies, if we could just select a template there.
Okay, cool.
Um,
I think I have a
and
segment example
segment
already set up.
example. This would normally be your view cart reminder, right? And let's publish our changes.
All right.
So what we've just done is in reaction to that event that happened, we've basically created a very small sequence. And that sequence waits some reasonable amount of time and sends the person a message. Well, what happens if they actually check out? What if they immediately complete the process? Right? We don't actually want to send them a message. And so there's a couple more parts we've got to wire up. So basically what we need to do is say, this needs to be canceled if they finish the process
Mhm.
before the delay expires. And so there's two other things we're going to do. First is we're going to go into settings. And you see that settings tab at the top of the designer.
Yes.
We're going to put a cancellation token in.
Okay.
And this cancellation token is basically, it's going to be a reference. And we're going to go ahead and for simplicity, just use the same ref we had earlier. So refs.data.user_ID.
Ooh, I can't type. User underscore ID.
And what we're basically saying is use this like when Courier sees this value is issued as a cancellation token, discontinue running this automation instance. So let's publish that change really quickly if you didn't already.
All right.
And that's it. We finished this automation. So we're going to have to create one more automation that actually does the cancellation.
Great. I'll head over to new automations. Actually, before we do that, let me go back to this automation. Can we just try testing this out just to like see it live in
Sure.
action? Awesome.
Sure. Let's do it.
I will remove the delay and we can add that back in later. But I really just want to see this whole thing So we,
It's so nice
according
to
to
see how easy
this,
that was to do, by the way, Shreya.
yeah, it's so intuitive. I love it. Um, so we say that on the website, if someone clicks on the checkout step, then essentially that same user should get an email.
That's right.
So let's go ahead and I'm going to just click on a bunch of stuff again and then click on checkout since that's the trigger. And then I'm going to check out as guest. I'll add my email in
Should have already
here.
gotten the message.
Okay, let me check.
Yeah. So you can actually, we can check courier logs to start.
Yeah, let's check Courier logs. Logs. This is from yesterday, so I think we're missing something because
Mm-hmm.
it didn't go through yet.
Let's go to your automations tab.
This is the one. Invalid step definition. Oh, did I type something wrong? No.
I think that I think that what happened, Shreya, is when we saw that little bug where, do you recall where the step disappeared and then we just added a new one?
Yes.
I suspect that's the cause. So like, what if we just like take that trigger off? Like, let's go remove the trigger from the one we just created.
The one that we just created.
Yep.
I think this is the wrong one.
Hey, there's automations v1 UI. It's
20.
the second from the bottom right there.
Okay, you're
Let's
right.
just take the trigger off so this one doesn't, you can just hit the little X and publish that. Let's take that off and publish it just because we don't want it to trigger. And let's just create a new one really quickly.
Okay, sounds good.
I suspect that issue where the step disappeared was the root cause there. So just to recap here, we're going to add our segment trigger.
We're at our segment trigger. I'll click on track.
It might still be in your pasteboard.
Oh no, I think I added the refs.data thing, so I'll copy it from here again. Checkout step viewed.
And then we'll want to do a send.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and send over here. And this is refs.data.user ID.
Got it. And pick our template.
Let's pick our segment example.
Publish our changes. Okay, let's cross our fingers and try that again.
Okay. Awesome. Let me click on
I suspect that was the root cause there.
And then we've already clicked on the checkout step. So I'll go into our logs again.
Hey.
Something's happening. It's not great, but something's happening.
Do you have a provider set up here?
I do. I should have.
So let's go to your profile loaded really quickly.
Yes.
Oh, let's go to request received. So would it go all the way to the bottom for me at the bottom of the data pack? Okay, so it's not user_ID. It's user ID.
We were just talking about this before the live stream. We were trying to figure out whether it was.
I wasn't sure. So let's go back over to our automation really quickly. Some live debugging.
Automation. All right, over here.
Yep, and let's just change that to be that. We'll publish our changes. We'll trigger it one more time.
Check out, and then we'll go over to logs. Okay.
There we go. And it is going to send. There it is. So
nice.
It was sent to you. And so you can see we are in fact triggering a notification. Always casing, Craig. Always casing.
Yeah.
And you can see how we haven't written any code. We've written zero code, right? We've been able to wire Courier up to send a message. This is, again, we showed how the delay step plugs in there. Shreya, should we complete the example and show how cancellation works?
Absolutely. All right. So I think there's something that I need to add, which is the delay step.
Yeah, we got to add two things actually. So let's
what's the right way to do that right now?
Drop your delay step on.
Drop it on. Okay.
And let's go ahead and plug our 1 minute value in.
Plug our 1 minute value.
And then you can just drag and drop the dot connectors.
Got it. Okay, sweet. Awesome. Cool.
Publish your changes. And then we need to add our cancellation token.
You said that's refs.data and then user ID.
Yep, you got the right one as well. And so the last piece is let's just go add our cancellation workflow really quickly.
All right. What should I call this? I'll call this checkout
Reminder.
Live checkout reminder. Great. And then I'll go to all automations. Whoops, my bad. New automation.
And let's go ahead and name this one, which is cancel checkout reminder.
Checkout reminder, so we don't lose them. And then, all right, what's the next step?
Okay, so the trigger here is going to be another segment event.
All right, let's go over and we're going to use a segment event. I think there's a couple of comments. Josh said person coding emoji. Yes, that is us. Tejas said Copilot for notifications. Suha said, do we need to change cancellation token alias to reference user ID? Yep, that is right. So if you're watching this live or later on and you're building this out, make sure that you don't make the mistake that we did. Awesome. Let's continue.
Okay, so let's do our track event. Let's wire up. I believe it's checkout step completed.
Checkout step completed. So I haven't gone to that part yet.
Yep. So let's just pay. Pretty sure it's checkout step completed. Yep. Perfect.
This is the one that we want.
And so all we're going to do here is add a new action.
Add a new
and really
action.
quick, just pausing here, just so we can look at some of the other actions. We only talked about delay and send, a bunch of different stuff that you can do, including updating profiles, subscriptions, invoking other automations, so on and so forth. But let's, in this case, go ahead and cancel an automation.
Okay.
And the token we're going to use is refs.data.userid.
User ID. Awesome.
And so this says cancel any token. I'm sorry, cancel any running automations that match this token.
Got it. Okay.
And so we're going to publish these changes. And so let's go ahead and run back through our workflow again.
All right.
And ideally, so the way we'll be able to prove out that this worked is that we'll be able to see the cancellation workflow run, and we'll see the original one get aborted.
All right. So in this case, I've opened the cart, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to, oh, wait a minute. Let's see us actually get that notification first, and then we'll redo this process. Go through the checkout process, complete it, and then see that actually get canceled out. This is really cool. I absolutely love how intuitive this whole thing is. Obviously, there's a couple of bugs, but this isn't even out yet. So it's exciting to get a chance to play around with it. How are you feeling, Seth? This is the first time you're showing this on live.
It's exciting to see it live, right? Like we've been using it internally. Really quick, Shreya, I think you actually have to click the checkout button to initiate the process.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I do have to do that. Okay.
And so like now that we've been hanging out, I think let's just verify, right? Let's go in and look at automations logs.
Let's go look at our logs.
We should see that in a 1043. That's us. Why did it error?
It's a good thing you told me to check this. Invalid step definition.
Okay, well, this is doing it live for we're still closed on the access, right? Because we're getting some of the kinks out.
Yes, this is why it's exciting, because it does this.
But so I don't know if you want to debug this one live, Shrey. I'm not sure honestly why this one's. We'd have to go look at that step definition. Actually, it's going to be on the delay.
It's going to be on the other one.
Yeah, the live.
I don't think the name's saved. I think
is
no. Let's.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday. So it's going to be the.
Is it? No, it's the other one.
Yeah. 1042, I think.
1042.
No, it was the one right before you. You got
it. The 36 one.
It's 1040. So the one second, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Looks okay to me, but not sure.
Should we try? Should we just remove the delay and try it?
We can delete. Why don't we remove it and try re-adding it and see if that works. If not, we can keep on moving forward.
Okay, sounds good. We'll add it. Lizzie said hashtag do it live. Exactly.
Do it
We're gonna
live.
add another hashtag, just do it live, but with a product that isn't even out yet. So this happens. I don't think I've ever had like a live coding stream or any type of like product demo stream where things have gone perfectly well, no matter how many times you practice it. All right, I'm gonna
Hold
publish
on, you
this.
got to add the delay minutes in there.
Oh, the minute, you're right. And then try it, just do it again.
Yeah, let's just give it a try. We can immediately go over to the automations logs and see if it's.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Something worked.
It's
What's the
wait.
difference?
Oh, okay, yay. That one worked. So it's just something that was wrong with our, I guess, our original definition. Actually, if you click the one that's waiting right there,
Yeah.
that's our one. And so we should be able to hang out for a minute or so and it'll come in. We could also alternatively complete the checkout and watch it stop.
Watch it stop.
So like it'll go into a
Oh,
cancel
if I
state.
go ahead and click
You
checkout
go
here
to
now.
continue checkout and you make it before the minute's up and you pay. It should go into a cancel. Oh, we didn't beat it.
Okay, that's all right. I can at
Yep.
least show the actual email.
Go quick.
I didn't get the email.
Go to messages.
Go to messages.
It just hadn't sent yet.
Oh, okay. 2 minutes ago, that's a different one, right? Or did it already send and I just didn't realize it? Because I did get one 2 minutes ago.
Oh no, it said it got processed. We'd have to look at the logs.
Well, this is what it looks like. Let me zoom in a little bit. And now what we're going to do is try to see if the cancellation works, because we know that the send works. We're having some issues with the delay step. So for cancellation, I should go in here, I should click checkout, and I should just directly pay.
Okay.
And here, do you think it's the second automation that's causing the error?
Click on the error. See what the error is. Let's see. It's the delay step.
Okay.
I think this is a false positive. This isn't the template we care about. This is another one that's listening to the same event, Shreya.
Okay.
So the one we care about is the one that's waiting.
Mm-hmm.
You want to refresh again?
Yes.
Click on the processed one. Ugh.
Okay.
So you got canceled.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
And
that's
then,
what we were hoping would happen.
well, that's a cancel step, so close that one. Apologies.
Okay.
And then the one that's 4 down is the other one we need to go look at real quick because hopefully
This
that
one?
one. Yep. No, that's the cancel again. We'll have to go debug those. Yay,
So
yay
are
beta
you
features.
saying this is from maybe like an automation that I built out yesterday? Is that what it
It
is?
almost certainly is.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. So y'all ignore that. That's not meant to be there. These are the ones that we care about. Cool. So that's my fault. I should have started with a new workspace instead of having one with all of my test automations. Cool. We have a few extra minutes.
Shreya,
So
do you see it there? Apologies, they are appearing. You see the canceled 1047?
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect.
Made me nervous to not see it working. I'm actually glad to see those logs. Having the multiple listeners definitely made it a little harder for us to track there. So
here, there's a cleaner view. We don't have to see the ones that have errors in them.
you can see very very acutely that the process were followed here. Nothing like doing it live.
Exactly. And the good thing is I didn't get that email, and that's the main thing that we were trying to go for is once you actually finish the checkout process, you don't want your users getting that extra email. Otherwise, they're going to get really mad at you and start emailing you. Awesome. Filter on left seems handy. It is very handy. I love the fact that it's here. Great. So that is pretty much the entire sort of workflow of how you can go from building out your website, getting those events, those user events into Segment, and then doing something with that information, such as communicating with your users, being like, hey, we noticed that you wanted to buy something and you didn't actually complete the entire process. So we're sending you a quick email reminder. But you don't want people getting that email unless they actually haven't bought that product yet. So one more thing I'm interested in, which is the new Courier segment integration, which allows us to kind of pull a lot of this information from Courier back into Segment. So would you mind showing me how that works, Seth?
Yes. So firstly, we need to go back over into to Segment,
All
and
right.
we're going to create a new segment source.
Guys, if I can interrupt, it looks like there's a question in the chat from Arnav.
Ooh, I missed it. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Question: does Courier provide multi-language support for AI-powered notification templates, or does it only generate in English and we have to manually convert it to a desired language? This is great.
Yeah, so on the AI side, you can, for example, like let's say you wanted to have a welcome message in Spanish, you can literally in the prompt just type welcome message in Spanish, and it will support putting that value in. Courier does have more robust internationalization and localization features that are available. But those aren't AI powered explicitly.
Yeah. And in our Decode episode from last week, we actually tried translating things with the AI-powered content generator. We did it in like Spanish and French, but yeah, feel free to try it in other languages too and let us know if it works out for you, which it should, because it's powered by ChatGPT. Okay, awesome. Let me pull this back up. Great.
Yeah, so we're over here in Segment really fast, and we need to add a new source. You might have to delete one because I think you're on.
I am on the free version, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete my old one. Let's see. Delete source. I'm gonna add in the name, and now we can go ahead and add a new source.
And so right now we're a custom source right now. And so we'll need to wire up, and Ben actually touched on this earlier on when he was talking about all the different sources that Segment supports, right? And so what we've rolled out initially is a custom source from Courier. So if we could go ahead and I think pick that custom tab there on the left under categories.
Custom?
No, Ben will keep me honest with this one. We can pick, actually for ease, just pick Node.js server right now.
Okay.
I
think we can add. I think we can just look for Courier.
No, type HTTP because I think it's actually an HTTP source.
Got it.
There you go.
Add the source.
Add the source.
This is going to give us, let's call this Courier.
Let's call this Courier.
And we don't need to give it a label. And this is going to give us a handy dandy write key.
Awesome.
Right there, available as soon as it comes up. And what we're going to do now is go take that write key and we're going to put it into Courier.
Okay.
So we're going to go over to, our segment configuration.
Segment.
And right there in the source section, we're going to put that write key. And just to kind of call this out, we do support a source key per environment. So if you were to switch between test and production, you would be able to put different ones in for different sources. And that's it. So what we could actually do is go generate some form of send. Shreya, let's actually just do this super easy and go back over to our logs. Okay. And let's just pick the last message and hit the resend button at the top right.
Pick the last message and send again, this one?
Yep, send again.
Nice.
And so what this is going to do is trigger this message to get sent again. So let's refresh our logs. And so you'll see that message got sent. And just so we have a corollary here, you see the message was sent. The other events don't necessarily matter in terms of downstream processing. But do me a favor, and could you actually just go open that message really quickly?
Yes. Oh, in
Oh,
the
is that cool?
logs?
No, no, no. Apologies. In your email, that was the right thing to do.
Okay. Yep.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Excellent. And just refresh that page really quickly so we can see the sorry, the courier page. So we
The
can
logs?
yeah, I just want to see the opened event in there.
Got it. This
Yep, perfect.
one
Excellent. So you
opened,
see how we
yes.
have opened events there for it? Um, what I'd like you to do now is go over to your courier segment source and go to the debugger.
Go over to our segment source and go over to debugger.
Hey, now we see a message was sent. You can see it was sent to Shreya, and you can see information about that, and then we can see that Shreya opened that message. And what we send is the first time that you opened it. We don't send you all the opens because that would be a little
That's
bit
not,
excessive.
yeah.
But we do send you the very first open and the very first click that comes across and the information about it. And so you can obviously take this now and wire it up to all kinds of really interesting downstream segment sources. You can um, use this to sensibly like power journeys and power like enrich profile data and all kinds of other things like that.
Actually, on that note, Ben, could you talk us through what Journeys is and how, like, what we could actually do with this information with a journey?
Sure. So the same way that you had sort of the automations thing in Courier, a journey is very much like that in the segment context. So to take the example that Seth started with there and kind of riff off of it, what we would do is when the person opens the message, that would get tagged on their profile, that we know now that they have received message XYZ and they've opened message XYZ. And so now that those events are captured there, imagine that you want to send that over for your analytics team to look at, in a deeper dive. So all of the events, anytime you've ever contacted this user, how often does that person open emails? Is it really worth your time and money and effort to continue to send them emails? Or should you maybe back off and use your marketing spend a little differently? Maybe you see that they engage better with your SMS service than they do with your email. And so using the data that you would capture, as Courier comes back in, you populate that information in the user's profile, you pass that information into the data warehouse where all of the analytics get done, and then you can start to update the user's preferences just based on how you see them behave. And so that would be a really powerful story in terms of marketing spend. We're paying by the message, we're paying by the email in a lot of cases. It's paid in bulk, but you're still sending out a whole lot of messaging, and you're paying for the privilege of sending out a whole lot of messaging. So how do you use that more effectively, especially in a time like this when it seems like everything's tight in the wallet? We're all trying to figure out where to shave off costs, and that would be a great way to go about doing it, to be able to see how people behave and go, you know what, every time I send this email to Ben, he opens like one a week. Maybe I should stop sending him more than one a week.
Yeah. That's really powerful. Thank you so much for explaining that. And thank you so much, Seth and Ben, for joining us. This was a really fun live stream. It's always great to see things go wrong so that you can figure out how to make them right. And I think that's really important because when people are building this out on their own, they're going to run into bugs as well. And it's nice to kind of show them how they can navigate through the logs and figure it out, figure out where the problem is and how to solve it. Thank you so much, Lizzie and Craig and Arnav and Suhas and Tejas and Kylene. You said hi at some point as well, and I forgot to say hi back to you. Who else joined us today? I think Josh was there. Dennis was there. Charlotte was there. Of course, Charlotte's in a snowstorm right now, so that's crazy. Thank you for joining us. Nia also joined as well. So thank you all. Thank you to Nia's cat, who is an inspiration to me. I really hope that I think the cat's name is Gremlin, which is like the coolest name in the world. I hope Gremlin's watching as well. Thank you all. Thank you, Seth and Ben. Do you guys have any final thoughts? Anything that you want to share? Anything you want to talk about?
Seth, you go first.
No, I appreciate both of you being on the stream and talking about all this stuff. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I guess my sign-off statement would be you can sign up for a free segment workspace and try all this out for yourself. Come by and do that and hit us up if you have questions. We'll be happy to point you in the right direction and get you started.
Exactly. And if you happen to try building out this project on your own, let us know how it goes. Tweet about it. Feel free to reach out if you have any issues, and we'll be happy to help out. Thank you guys again for joining, and we will see you next week on the next episode of Decode. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.